And so I'm encouraged to see that. Along those same lines, another big piece of news, at least in the work management space, was that Smartsheet has agreed to be taken private through an acquisition by Blackstone and Vista Equity Partners for a whopping $8.4 billion. So delisting, or I don't know if that's the right term, no longer will be a publicly held company. They're acquiring all the shares. And I think it's a smart move insofar as this has become a very challenging, competitive space that's moving very quickly. And removing themselves from the public market should give them the opportunity to move a little bit more quickly and to make some longer term investments, which I think they need to do. It's a space that I've been following very carefully, and it's in flux. I mean, I think we're seeing this massive intersection of traditional workflow management players, work management players, project management players. We've talked about this, even the RPA, the intelligent automation stuff. Everything is sort of intersecting, and as well as the new conversational AI players, or maybe not new, but conversational AI and enterprise search. I mean, they're all sort of converging. And so I think if you're anyone in this space, you have to be looking at it carefully and asking yourself, how do you make the investments that you need to be making to prepare for what comes next? And so I think this at least gives them the opportunity to do so. So I'm not curious. I'm curious to how much you followed them or what your take was.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a real war over the past decade to figure out which what I call it Play-Doh is going to end up being the medium that enterprises use to build all of the long tail applications that they're trying to figure out. Whether it's something like Smartsheet or whether it's somebody with an application integration background like Workato, or whether it ends up being on ServiceNow, which is a more formalized and structured platform, but obviously they would also love to take over all of the extra tasks that exist that don't quite fit into ERP or CRM, or a planning company like Anaplan, which also does a lot of custom planning modules for enterprises. There are all these different approaches that are coming into place. Integration, data, planning, structure, workflows, to get to this point. And the problem is that there is this gigantic long tail that we're seeing. If you just look at the number of applications that are in the average enterprise, now we're getting up to 900 plus or 1,000, and nobody really wants those extra 800 apps. They've just kind of shown up over time because there were extra holes in the dam that needed to be plugged and extra things that needed to be done that just couldn't work manually. So Smartsheet still has a chance to be one of the big market players here. Honestly, the $8 billion acquisition price is, I'm sure, a small fraction of what the buyers think that this market can be, but they know that Smartsheet probably needs some additional integration, some additional programming capabilities, some additional developer community to be able to reach its full potential. So it'll be interesting to see to what extent they are able to pursue that with this post acquisition.
Yeah, I do think it's, anytime you see these converging markets, it always creates both opportunity and risk. And I think, Shane, who was sitting in for me a couple of weeks back, right? He just went to Airtable, which is a Smartsheet competitor.
Yes.
And them and a few others have taken Zoho as a product. I forget whether it's called Zoho Tables, Zoho something. Anyway, this is this sort of category, this sort of, I don't want to say simplistic because you can do very powerful things in them, but this very like spreadsheet oriented approach to this. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have companies like Asana and Reich, and they are much closer to like the Anaplans and the more project management tasks. And so you have this entire spectrum, and everyone is sort of jockeying for where does this fit and what is the best thing to use. And I don't think the answer is going to be any one of them. I think that it's going to be, you're going to have, as we've talked about, this, the sprawl, a little bit of everything to solve specific needs. Because the one thing I will argue is I do think people want those 800 or 8,000 or however many apps they have, insofar as they want the solution, they want the automation, they want the ability to capture and control something, and they'd prefer not to do it in a spreadsheet, right? And if I'm a CIO today, if I have one goal, that is to eliminate spreadsheets for doing anything but actual calculation of a ledger, right? Of where I need to do a financial calculation. because it's a horrible place to be capturing and storing data. And so getting into any of these solutions, depending on what's the right fit, is going to be better solution if I'm trying to capture the data and embed it into a workload that I can then disseminate and share across the organization.